All right, I'm back after a week off, and yes, I'm well aware that I have this new haircut now that makes me look like I'm half crazy, but that's okay. Let's just forget about that and move on here and talk about the game. All right, so the Sens obviously dropped a 4-1 decision last night to the Montreal Canadiens. And the game, they didn't play very well, and other than the first period, I thought they were okay. But other than that, I mean, Montreal, give them full marks. They came out skating, they came out forechecking. The Sens were off for a week. Both teams were well rested, but the Habs, I was going to say, they played the Oilers on Tuesday night, so they already had that game to get themselves primed up, get into it. They had a really good game there too. They beat Edmonton 4-0, and they seemed like they carried that momentum right over into this game, in which, like I said, they played really well, skating, forechecking, just really giving the Sens nothing to do out there. Really no room for them on the ice in all three zones, and the Sens, well, they didn't help their cause with the way they played. Montreal played a really solid game. I'm well aware that Christian Wolanin is no longer a member of the Ottawa Senators. He was traded from the Sens to the LA Kings in exchange for Michael Amadio. I am going to get into that trade later on in this video, but first let's talk about this game. Okay, so first period started off. I thought the Sens came out with a lot of good jump. You could tell they were well rested. They were skating well. They looked like the faster team in Montreal, I would say, for the first 5 to 10 minutes. The Habs had some chances themselves too, but it would be Phillip Danault breaking the tie, the 0-0 tie, 10:48 into the first period, getting his third of the season, assisted by Gallagher and Tatar. That was a play in front of the net where, the Sens defense, again, they kind of get lost in front, or Danault gets lost in front. They lose their man in front of the net, and Danault scores to make it 1-0 Habs. 48 seconds into the second period, the Sens have a carryover power play, and they're just doing absolutely nothing with it. And the only thing that happens on it is a bad thing, which is Montreal scoring a shorthanded goal by Paul Byron, assisted by Evans and Lehkonen, 48 seconds in only. And the Sens, they just didn't look good there. They looked so out of sync, and eventually they're just kind of all standing around in their own end. Paul Byron roofs a backhander on Philip Gustafsson. It's 2-0 Montreal. Well, the Sens had an okay first period. The shots were 14-11 for Montreal, so kind of close. That second was all Montreal, and from the beginning of the second period onwards, the game was all Montreal, in my opinion. The Habs deserved to win this. The Sens did not deserve to win this. As for Philip Gustafsson's play, I thought he was good. I kind of would have liked to seen him have the Byron goal maybe, but nonetheless, I thought he was pretty good. Not a whole lot he could have done on those goals. The guys in front of him just didn't give him a whole lot of help that night. The shots were 14-6 for Montreal, and Ottawa, every time they play Montreal, is it just me, or do they just give up a lot of shots? Like every time they play the Habs, win or lose, it seems like they're always giving up 30 plus. And 30 isn't a bad amount of shots to give up, but they gave up close to 40 last night. And it seems like they do that a lot when they play the Habs. I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. And then 4:43 into the third period, Corey Perry scores his second of the season against the Sens, his 7th overall, assisted by Evans and Mete. So Victor Mete factors in on some scoring here for Montreal finally. But for Perry, again, he's alone in front. He tucks it home past Gustafsson through the 5-hole. The Sens just got to be more aware in those situations. They're just, they're soft in front of their net. For this big physical team that Pierre Dorion and DJ Smith wanted, they seem to use their physicality when they don't really need to use it, rather than using it in an appropriate manner, like boxing guys out in front of your net and not giving them easy whacks at the puck like Ottawa seems to let their opponents do a lot of. 10:04 into the third period, Brendan Gallagher scores to make it 4-0, makes it even worse for the Ottawa. Danault and Tatar again pick up assists on that one. That was a good goal for the Habs. Bad turnover there by Chabot. Thomas Chabot, I just want to say this about him. As good of a player as he is, man, he's been turning the puck over a lot this season. I don't know if it's fatigue because DJ Smith keeps running him into the ground. I don't know if we could really use that excuse last night because they did have a week off. But with that being said, I don't know, maybe it's just so many games in a short amount of time for everyone this season. But Chabot, man, he's been really turning the puck over a lot lately, and that's really not good to see. So hopefully he'll start cleaning that up, because I believe it was on that goal where he had the puck, a chance to get it out. Montreal turns it back over, pass to Gallagher in front of the net, bangs it home, 4-0. And then Arturi Lehkonen takes a penalty late. He trips up Zaitsev. That was just not a good play by Lehkonen. Your goalie's got a shutout going, and it could have been back-to-back shutouts for Montreal. Price got the shutout Tuesday night against Edmonton. Allen could have got the shutout last night against Ottawa. But no, Lehkonen takes a bad penalty 200 feet away from his own net. He goes into the box, and what happens? Well, Connor Brown scores his 8th of the season, assisted by Norris and Riley. And that goal comes late in the third period. And Lehkonen, I mean, man, oh man, that would just be an awful feeling if you're Arturi Lehkonen skating out of that box across the rink back to your bench, and everyone's just kind of looking at you probably, or at least thinking about you like, that darn guy had to take a penalty late. And that's the case for Lehkonen, though. Nonetheless, solid game from Montreal all around. Not a good game from Ottawa all around. The final shots were 38-23 for the Habs. And yeah, the Sens definitely have some work to do. They looked good coming out. They looked like they had a lot of energy, but then that energy kind of gave way to rustiness, I found, as the game wore on. And it ended up being a 4-1 Habs win, and the Sens have to be a lot better Saturday night when they take on Montreal in the Bell Center again. So first I want to mention that Jacob Bernard-Docker and Shane Pinto both signed their entry-level contracts coming out of University of North Dakota to play for the Sens. They're going to have 1 week of quarantine, as the quarantine was cut down from 14 days to 7 days here in Canada. So those guys are going to be coming in, and they burn a year off their entry-level deals. And I know a lot of people are excited to have them come in, and I know a lot of teams do this with college players. But I don't know, I mean, in a lost season, I would have liked to see them maybe come in and play for Ottawa next year, so you save that 1 year on their entry-level contract. So when you're looking down the road, when you got to pay some of these players that are on the roster now, some of these young players, instead of having that extra year on the entry-level deal, these guys are now only going to have really 2 full years of an entry-level salary, Bernard-Docker and Pinto. And who knows, if they play really well, especially I'm hearing a lot of good things about Shane Pinto, well, both of them, but especially Shane Pinto. I mean, he could be in for a big pay raise, and then Pierre Dorion might be kicking himself down the road that he didn't just wait a few more months for them to sign those entry-level deals. And you have a full 3 years out of those guys on an entry-level salary instead of just 2 years. But that's just my opinion. So now to the Wolanin trade. I know I voiced my displeasure about him being on waivers. I felt it was only a matter of time before they would trade him. And surely enough they do. For Michael Amadio, I don't like this trade for Ottawa. They pick up a guy in Amadio who, he put up some big points his last couple years in junior. But with that being said, he hasn't really done a whole lot offensively at the NHL level. He's more of an energy type of guy, big physical guy, DJ Smith type of guy, more or less, is what I'm trying to say, because he loves those type of players. He favors them over guys who are great skaters and good puck movers. Wolanin, I'm a little worried about this trade, and like I said in a previous video, he's not the next Thomas Chabot, but I think if given the opportunity, and like he was not given in Ottawa, I mean, when he was in the lineup, he was only playing 8 to 10 minutes on most nights, and that was even on a good night. So if he's given an opportunity in Los Angeles, I could really see him flourishing, and I don't know, Pierre Dorion might be kicking himself. I hope he doesn't have to look back at this as another potential Mika Zibanejad trade. Not that I think it's going to be like that bad of a discrepancy between the two players, but I think Christian Wolanin is definitely going to turn out to be the better player than Michael Amadio. Amadio is 2 years younger, but nonetheless, I think given the opportunity, Wolanin's going to fit right in with a team that appreciates a guy who can move the puck and skate rather than just bang bodies around all the time and be this big physical presence that can't really do a whole lot with the puck. Those are my thoughts on this game. Please let me know what all of you think in the comment section below. And, the Sens, like I said, lackluster performance, not great. 23 shots only, got to get more shots than that. Not only did they have 23 shots, I thought a lot of their shots, they were one and done, not really a lot of second and third chances. And the Sens, I don't know, maybe they need to get to the net a little harder next game against Montreal. They definitely need to cut down on the amount of shots and zone time Montreal has against them. And like all good coaches say, it's a pretty cliche saying by them, good defense leads to good offense. So for Ottawa, maybe they need to take a page out of that and get some better offense by having better defense. But like I said, let me all know all that and more in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.